welcome back to Shaman King 2021 Anime Review, episode number 4, reviewing the 4th episode of the reboot series, Best Place. Yes, now this episode adapts from 4 pages of chapter number, actually more like 5 pages of chapter number 11 of the series. Yeah, it pretty much almost finished the chapter, there's still a little bit they skipped over. Well, they did that for like the last couple pages for last week's episode, but there's actually a scene in this particular chapter which so far they haven't really included in. They probably include next week, who knows. It just say between Tao Ren and his sister. Yes, this particular scene for some reason, 2 episodes in a row, they decided not to include it. Yeah, for reasons. Yep. Now, what they included in here was... Now, the episode starts out with Ryu. A lot of this episode is not focused on, let's say, Menta and Yo. It's focused on Ryu for the first part of the episode. He and his group arrive at an abandoned bowling alley. Yes, and they say the reason why this thing is abandoned is because he wanted to move too far into the suburbs. That's the reason why this place is basically here the way it is. Oh, yeah, and by the way, we actually get the name of the city, the area. It's Wabuki Hill. As far as I know, this might be the first time in this reboot series that is listed by name. And Ryu doesn't like it very much, so he punches Muscle Punch. And they get a flashback, yes, a flashback, to something they cut out from last week's episode of Ryu and his guy just dancing in an abandoned Chinese restaurant. And then Tao Ren shows up, slices in half Ryu's afro, and of course tells him to get out. Now in the manga, he took out his bison. Yeah, he took out bison to basically battle to scare him off. Here they cut that out for some reason. I don't know why. Oh, and don't worry, that's not the only time you see Tao Ren. You see him briefly at the end of the episode to close off. And then from that point forward, basically like... And then we switch, then we see like, then Ryu sees Anna walking by. Now, this is basically a reverse camera angle, mind you, because in the manga, you see Anna come into the shot like almost like full body view. In the anime, it's almost like she's basically Ryu's here and she's like over here. Then she walked by, and he does this thing that, yeah. In case you're curious still about this little thing he does with the flower and getting on 1D. Yeah, this is a recurring gag that actually was also in the original anime as well, which, if you watch the original anime, you'd be smiling the fact they kept this gag in. You see, this particular gag is basically Ryu frequently propositioning women like left and right. Even women who are way younger than he is. Though asking me his bride. Yes, he did this to an 11-year-old girl. Yes. I have no idea why the heck he decided to do 11-year-old girl, but he did. Anna, I think, is supposed to be 12, 13-ish. And then we cut to Yo buying a new sword for Ryu. Because, well, they broke the last sword last episode, so buys a sword that's meant to pay for, because there's a level wall at home. And we see his home. And this is basically the first time we see it in this series. Which I think they did show it off, like... At this point of the series, in the original one, I think it was by episode 5, I think it was. Yes, in case you're curious still about this place, this is a former inn that Ryu just simply decided to, Ryu decided to rent for 1,000 yen a month. Which, somebody thinking, really? 1,000 yen? Let's see, how much is that? In US currency. Let's see, that is roughly... Wow, that is dirt cheap. Okay, 1,000 yen in US currency is $9.21. So basically they pay like $10 a month in this place. I'm like, damn, that's cheap. Well, there's a reason for it. Because the place is haunted. They did cut out this really interesting scene where they introduced the former landlord of the place. Now, here's the thing. He's a creepy old man who's a ghost, and he basically pops out of a toilet. They cut this up in the manga, probably because I think the animators must have saw this like, yeah, this is stupid. We might save it for next week's episode, but we're not going to put it here. And, of course, well, Manta's surprised with how the fact the place is so big and the fact that the rent's so cheap. Anna arrives home, and he's surprised the fact that she lived, since she lived there. And then right behind her is Ryu, who decided to follow her. Now there's a slight wording change, basically. He's saying he's shocked to see that Yo and Anna living together. Now, basically, he says co-harboring. That's what he says in the anime. In the manga, it's like living together. Of course, she mentions she's Yo's fiance. And he says a different word in the manga. In the anime, he says you're immoral. Which I'm like, okay. And then him and his gang run off, and they go back to the abandoned bowling alley. Meanwhile, though, Anna decides to, do something, and then I think Yo decided to cook some dinner. And of course, Menta's like, oh, I'm out of here. And then we see Ryu and his gang back at the abandoned bowling alley, where he's like, I really want to get back to the headphone guy. And then a ghost shows up. Yes. This is Takacho, I believe his name is. He's a bandit. Yes, this is his first appearance in the anime. And here's kind of the thing. I think they cut a lot of the guy's, violent stick from the... If you watch him in the original series, the guy is not as violent as he is here. Oh, yes. They basically trimmed this guy down in the original series. I think, if I remember the original series, he just randomly decided to have possessing him. But as for the stuff, the violence he was doing, I think they cut out from the anime. No, I don't... Now, as far as I can tell, 4Kids not edit the anime. The anime, basically, how it aired, from what I heard, the original 2001 anime, that's exactly how it aired in Japan. So, can't blame 4Kids for that. You have to blame the studio for that. This, of course, is a different studio making the series. Oh, yeah, by the way, this thing covers chapter... Well, not only from chapter 11, but also chapters 18 and 24. Roughly 7 full chapters. So, he's possessing him. And then we have a slight visual change here. We see Ryu sitting in this nice comfy chair, surrounded by this whole bunch of food. And, of course, basically his men basically brings more booze. Now, in the manga, there's actually a special light above him, which they cut out from the anime for some reason. Probably because they either couldn't have it where this gang could afford this damn thing, or something else. I'm not really sure what it is. Excuse me. Now, they do cut out basically saying this guy's name in front of the guys. They cut that little bit of dialogue out. It's a slight wording here change. Now, here is a change that basically I don't think I saw in the original anime. Okay, now, Takachu, the bandit who possessed Ryu, for himself as a bandit, and what does he do? He stabs Muscle Punch in the hip. Yeah, he stabs him. Which shows you this is a completely different studio. Because I highly doubt in 2001 they would allow this to happen. A man who possessed taking a knife and stabbing somebody in the freaking hip. Mostly in the side, that's where he stabs him. And then, of course, this is meant outside. And of course, he plans using the hostage against Yo. And then Yo was basically like, something's weird going on. And then, of course, Akachu, this is a quite hilarious thing. Where he comes to the bathroom, where he comes in, and then Anna walks in. And she's like, really? You're gathering here? I'm in the I'm basically using the bathroom. Yeah, in case you're curious, though, is there any cut dialogue where possibly Anna says his dick? No, she doesn't say anything about that at all. Though I think that she probably wanted to. Who knows? And then they have a conversation in the actual, sitting room, which... Here's the thing, in the anime, it's actually a little bit longer than the manga. Manga is one panel, and then Ryu's gang show up. Where he basically, Takazu's like, I want revenge against you for killing me, and he's like, who are you? And he's like, you killed me. He's like, I don't know who the heck you are. I killed hundreds of people, so I have no idea who you are. Well, Akamiyo, I think it's the samurai, Not surprising he wouldn't remember him because I'm sure Samurai killed a lot of people when they were basically alive. So, and then they start a fight, and of course Yo gets sliced in the chest with a sword made by the guy's late friend way back in the pilot episode. Which we're like, really? Like, if you think through in the anime, we just introduced this sword 3 episodes back, and then something bad happens to it. In the manga, this was like roughly, I think about a little over 20 chapters after it was first introduced. And basically you had 3 choices. Free Menta, free Ryu, or break the sword. Break the sword. Yep. And of course, actually basically is like angry, still wants to hurt him. And luckily enough, Yo's like, possess me. And this kind of way changes the band the way he possesses him. And Yo basically wins, and instead of sending him to hell, like Anna wanted him to. Yeah, I don't want to send him to hell. It's like, no, he won't get redeemed, so he basically just stays. And then the episode ends with Talren's thinking he's preparing for his rematch with Yo. I gotta say, pretty good episode. Yep. Now you're probably thinking, really? It covered 7 chapters for 1 episode. Well, it is a little bit more than last week. It seems as though that they're just increasing the number of chapters adapted. I mean, take a look at these chapters. Look at these, like first episode covered 2 chapters and 1 page of another chapter. 2 covered roughly 4 chapters. 3 covered mostly almost about 8 chapters. And this week basically covered, well, part of 1 chapter and 7 full chapters. Now the obvious question is how far they get to next week. I don't know. It just depends exactly how far they get to. I'll find out when I watch the episode next week. But I'm enjoying Shaman King, the 2011 reboot. We're only 4 episodes in, and I have heard this has been confirmed for a 52 episode series. So we have roughly 48 episodes to go. So here's the question, though, by the time you get to the final episode. How much of the manga will these 52 episodes cover? That's an honest-to-God really good question. We'll probably find out by the final episode. Yep. So, next video is going to be How Not the Summon Demon Lord. Okay? To this video. Bye.